Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. This meeting is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, can you please conduct a prayer and flag salute?
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the public who may be attending. So much feedback. Okay, members of the public who may be attending are on mute until the public comment portion of the meeting. If you wish to be recognized, please use the raised hand icon in the program to identify yourself. You will then give your name and address as at any council meeting. Failure to do so will result in your being muted and not recognized further. If you're registered more than once, you will only be recognized to speak one time under the first registration, as with any council meeting. When public comment is open, the ability to register will be closed at that time. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Ormond,
Here.
Javik,
Here.
Caldwell,
Here.
Mohammed,
Here.
Cosby. Ms. Cosby? Mr. Roman? Ms. Strano?
Here.
Blaine?
Here.
Medina? Hickey?
Here.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Here. Okay, approval of the minutes of August 18th, 2020.
Council President, I move for approval of the minutes of August 18, 2020, and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes.
I'm here. It was buffering.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to ordinance on hearing. Okay, we're going to start with ordinance 6443. Councilman Strano, you have an amendment for that?
Yes, Council President. The ordinance number 6443 is going to require an amendment, so I move to amend the ordinance as stated. The amendment reads, since the position of the Secretary to the Board of Health is now vacant, the minimum salary for the position should be lowered to $3,000. I move to amend 6443, line number 258, to lower the minimum salary, the Secretary to the Board of Health, $3,000. The city attorney has reviewed this change to the ordinance and has found it to be de minimis. I request a second of my motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
I abstain.
Roman? Strano?
Yes.
Blaine? Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Okay. Mr. Clerk, has that ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received on it?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on ordinance 6443 as amended? Okay, seeing none, motion please.
Council President, I move that ordinance number 64-43 as amended The hearing, ordinance adopted, and I request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
No.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine, Hickey.
Yeah.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 6444.
An ordinance providing funding for the rail freight project for the city of Linden and appropriating $2,558,270 for such purpose.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing on 64-44, adopted, and ask for a second, please.
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yeah.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 6445.
An ordinance authorizing the sale of a portion of Lot 13, Block 580, known as 1601 West Edgar Road, on the current tax atlas of the city of Linden and not needed for public use to the New Jersey Department of Transportation in the amount of $15,000 for intersection improvements at Route 1 and 9 at Avenue C.
Okay. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing on 64-45, adopted as policy, and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine, Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yeah.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
No, the features never came up on it.
Okay, we're going to move on to consent agenda items. Okay, all items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. No separate discussion on these items unless a council member so wishes. Does any of the council members wish to remove any of the consent agenda items?
Why did all these pictures?
Okay, seeing none, could we have a motion, please?
I make a motion to move forward with the consent agenda items. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed, Mr. Mohammed, you're on mute.
You have to unmute yourself, Councilman.
Cosby,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey, Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. I think his thing froze. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to committee reports and comments from members of the governing body. We're going to start with First Ward.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to start with my finance report and just a very brief update as to what's going on in the ward. The Budget Review and Finance Committee approval is requested for the following finance actions: the payment of bills totaling $2,048,403.70. Bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairwoman, and the check register and vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. We are in receipt of the investment made by the City Treasurer for the month of August at the rate of 0.20%. I move for approval and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Orma,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed.
Yeah, his computer screen.
Crosby,
Yes.
No.
Gotcha.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay, just a real brief update. This weekend on September 19th, going forward with our community-wide yard sale for the first, second, and third ward. The rain date, which we're not supposed to have rain, will be the 26th. Permit fee is waived. If you'd like to register your home, so I can put a detailed list out on social media, you can contact me at lformon@linden-nj.org. Also, as a result of our past storms, we had a lot of trees came down in our ward. Some of them were damaged and also have to be removed. If you'd like to have your tree replaced, please reach out to me. We can put you on our list for probably our spring planting. Part of my responsibilities, I'm on the Accident and Review Committee, and I'm just going to continuously talk about the Street of the Week public safety program that we have implemented. Every week, you're going to see a different street in the city that is tagged or has signs up that says it's Street of the Week. We are trying to change the behavior of drivers from speeding to loud, mufflers, anything that's not conducive to safety. So far, we've done in the first ward, West Curtis Street, we've done Washington Street, and I provided Lieutenant Gunther, a list of areas that I would like to have focus on also. We are serious. If you are speeding, we're gonna catch you. We're trying, like I said, to improve the behavior, the driving behavior of those that are on our streets because it's for the safety of our children. Also effective yesterday, there's been a change in the traffic flow on East Henry Street and East Curtis Street. We sent out letters to the residents on those particular blocks. We didn't get many responses back from people, but we put those changes in effect. On East Henry Street, you can turn in from Wood Avenue and proceed to Washington. On Curtis Street, from Washington to Wood Avenue, it's one way. It is for the ultimate safety of our children, ultimate safety of our passengers driving. The street on East Henry Street is way too narrow for two cars to pass. And just as an FYI, the only other option on East Henry Street was to make parking only on one side of the street. And we realized that we don't have enough parking as it is, so we chose not to put that type of burden on the residents that live on that particular street. I'd also like to address some quality of life issues and noise after 10 p.m. During the summer, we do understand that people love to have parties and love to enjoy their space, but we have to make sure that we are mindful of our neighbors and just remember that after 10 o'clock, you have to bring your noise down. It should only be for your personal enjoyment, not for your neighbor next door. I'm sending out a newsletter, and that ordinance is listed on the front page of the newsletter, so everybody will have a copy of it. And then also, there's a lot of water mains, New Jersey American Water is replacing, as well as gas lines. I just want to reemphasize structure was definitely in need of repairing. And we are going to have those streets fixed. They're not just going to leave those streets. We will make sure that they live up to their commitment and do appropriate repair. You can reach out to me with any questions, any concerns. My number 908-370-6482 or LORMON@linden-nj.org. And that concludes my brief report, Council President. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
We need two people are trying to get in the meeting. They can't get in. I don't know if they knew the process. It's the same two people last night, right?
Yeah.
What were their names? Because I know I got the lawyer in my.
Okay. Good. We need a microphone muted, Mayor.
So we need Ken
So Kim Fizzle Jr. normally can't get in.
Okay. All right. Councilman Javik.
Yes, Council President. As chairman of the Fire Committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected the following monies during the month of August 2020, a total of $8,588.68. Regarding the Linden Fire Department ambulance billing, the amount of $69,453.48 for August 2020 have been added to the total deposits for 2020, totaling $487,673.58. Good evening. When I first became councilman, working with our Linden Economic Development Director, we were able to put forth a vision,
Maybe he needs to sell you.
strategic plan of redevelopment. Linden Station Apartments on Elizabeth Avenue in the second ward, the beginning of our transit community renaissance. A previous scaffolding company, now to be 234 units with 272 parking spaces, bringing a new life to an aging industrial area. With our direct line train service, this area is destined for greatness in living and retail space. In addition, this pilot development will generate $25.2 million in tax revenue for our city over the next 30 years. And I can tell you more development is on the way. Regarding paving throughout the ward, the Gas and Water Company have begun doing markouts, so paving is on track for October. Also, in October, our city rabies immunization program will take place on October 8th, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Firehouse on East Elizabeth and Chandler Avenue. And again, on October 15th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Firehouse location of 302 Southwood Avenue. City pet licensing will be available at these times also. And don't forget, we are still looking for applicants for school crossing guards. You can get information at the police department, window, and back of City Hall. I can be reached at 908-494-4608 or email me at bjavick@linden-newjersey.org. Be safe, be healthy, and be responsible. Council President, end of report.
Thank you, Councilman Javik. Councilwoman Caldwell. Councilwoman, you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Council
Okay.
President.
You're welcome.
I make the motion for approval of installation of street light at the following locations, and I request a second. Pole number 62165 LD, corner of Princeton and Summit Terrace. Light was never replaced after the accident. Pole number 64096 LD, located near 2828 Highland Avenue. Pole number 63519 LD, adjacent to 514 East Middlesex Street. Pole number 61862 LD, Ziegler Avenue between Price Street and Roselle Street. Pole number 64048 LD on Clark Street between Cleveland Avenue and Union Street. And pole number 63469 LD located near 513 East Elm Street on the intersection of Maple Avenue. Can I have a second?
Mrs. Zuma? Zuma?
Yes.
Havoc?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Crosby?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine? Yes. Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakotis?
Yes.
Good evening, Third Ward neighbors. I hope this message finds you well. As the chair of the as the chair of construction and code, there were 145 permits issued, 21 certificates processed, and a generation of $46,689 for the month of August 2020. As for our IT report, TeleApp has done a deep dive into the city's IT infrastructure. And I don't have enough time to go over everything, but I will invite TeleApp to one of our meetings, maybe our next caucus meeting, so he can go over everything, but I'm just gonna review it at a high level. There's some security concerns in this, the city, 42% unsolicited pop-ups. There's been a phishing scam attempt with spoofed emails. The mayor's email has been hacked before. The connectivity is extremely poor. There's no succession planning, no training manuals, no guidelines, no regular workshops. The recommendation is to go with digital succession planning, just in case something is catastrophic. The platform that the recommendation is to move forward with Google Cloud to migrate the technology, the infrastructure to the cloud. Other governments that are using it is New York City Cyber, Chicago Department of Transportation, City of Los Angeles, and the Clarkstown Police Department are using that government platform. The recommendation is to have, this would take about 3 years to implement and to basically have a project lead that would have experience with Google Cloud. I also want to speak to my neighbors about your quality of life. I've heard you loud and clear in reference to the noise on Washington Avenue. It has been addressed. We have met with Chief Hart and our coding inspector, and we work with the police department, and it has quieted down, and I'm thankful for your feedback. And you can always contact me at any time that you feel you have a concern. September 19th is our garage sale in the third ward, and the fee is waived, and the rain date is September 26th. My next virtual community meeting will be on September 24th from 7 to 8 p.m. I'm going to have it posted on the city website, so you have access, and I'll send everyone a blast text as I usually do. And I could be contacted at 908-483-3384. My email is mcaldwell@linden-newjersey.org. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Caldwell.
You're welcome.
Councilman Mohammed, I believe he's up with the mayor right now. He's having some issues with his tablet. Mayor, can you take your seat, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, Council. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council President. My report for the month of September is as follows. We had a cleanup in the Fourth Ward Park that was successful. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Codwell for her assistance, and the young man Kyle, who was a teammate of my son and the Pop Warner Football League. The Elizabethtown and Gas is making an inspection of all the properties, and we ask that you cooperate with them as this is a necessity. And you should be either getting a call or have received a call from the Elizabethtown Gas for the inspection of gas lines. Elizabethtown Gas is also completing its work in the fourth ward and will be repaving the streets. Recycle bins will be delivered to the fourth ward by the end of this year. And DPW has done a phenomenal job in picking up the debris in the fourth ward as a result of the recent storm. And also they're continuing that work with regards to tree pruning and removal of trees. They had a very recent tree phenomenon wherein the tree had to be removed and the DPW acted expeditiously. If anyone needs to reach me, they can reach me at 908-463-4843. You can text me, we'll meet your concerns. And again, I want to thank the Department of Public Works for its expeditious handling of several matters, several cleanups in the ward, and kudos to the DPW. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Muhammad. Councilwoman Cosby?
I'm trying to get my report. Good evening. In light of the ongoing pandemic, there have been no meetings for the Rent Leveling Board or the Environmental Commission. I would hope that these two entities consider conference call or virtual meetings in the near future in the interest of doing the public's business. Also, I would like to remind the public that there are open volunteer positions for the Environmental Commission, and appointment is made by the mayor. Email or call the clerk's office for information on how to apply. The application is also online at the city's website. The new website is www.linden-nj.gov. From the 5th Ward, I have submitted a tree list to the Shade Tree Commission for fall planting, and will get the list of where the trees have been approved for planting and share that information when it is received. As far as road safety, I'm pleased to report that Caroline Avenue study of the excessive speeding is at the top of the list. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the reduction of the motorists, I am concerned that the study will not reveal the real issue of high speed. Nevertheless, I will await the study and share the findings. Hagel Avenue, Bernard Avenue, Sherman Avenue, Garfield Street, Grant Street, and Alexander Street are still on the list and getting closer to the top. So thank you for your patience, as this is the process. And I know years are going by, but we have to wait as the list is prioritized by the traffic committee. Adams Street and Grant Street are scheduled for resurfacing. There was a pre-construction meeting held on September the 10th. I will have a community meeting of sorts. I like to call it now a community update. We will be live via Zoom and Facebook on Thursday, September the 24th at 6 p.m. The Zoom meeting ID is 829-9531-1521, and the passcode is all capitals, GOAT. We will have an opportunity to meet the new superintendent of the Board of Education, learn about all paper election from the director of Union County Board of Elections. Did you know that you're now able to register to vote and change your address all online? So plan to attend this meeting. I hope that my attempt at a live feed to the general public at this moment, some people who wanted to attend but did not want to register or have not been admitted to the meeting. There are people, as the mayor said, who are unable. They keep getting the CAPTCHA, whatever thing, and it's telling them to do that, add a code. They're not being admitted to the meeting. So again, there's some flaws here, and it concerns me with so far as people being able to join the meeting. If they can't join, I don't understand. Anyway, There's still time to complete your census if you have not already done so. This is important so that we can have the proper representation at the federal level and so on and so forth with regard to funding and programming. Finally, Resolution 289 is giving another developer a sweetheart deal with no consideration for the future population of Linden. I have asked my colleagues to consider holding this so we can add provisions such as set aside units for low-income residents, possible security, and other things. This is a 30-year deal. More importantly, Linden does actually have an obligation for low-income housing on the new developments based on what I learned in my own research. And I'm happy to share that with anyone who wants to hear it because I did research. And it's true, we do have an obligation in the coming years. And by the time anybody, thinks about making the recommendation in the development agreements, which is the power of the city council, we can say, set these units aside. Last night, the developer said he had no problem setting aside 20%. So I don't understand why we're rushing into this. We don't need the apartments that badly that another month of consideration and tweaking is going to be a big deal. Anyway, I want to say stay well to my neighbors. If you have questions or ideas, contact me at 908-718-7933 or rcosby@linden-nj.org. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Council President. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Council President, I apologize for my spotty service and possibly cutting out right now. I apologize to the public for that. I'm just going to quickly do a quick report. Any trees, if someone wants to plant trees, please call me immediately. Sidewalks as well, the vendor, the contract has been signed for sidewalks. So if you had asked me for a sidewalk, I did put you on the list and that should be happening soon. If you need to talk about a sidewalk, please call me immediately, literally tomorrow, 908-494-5784. I want to thank everyone who took part in the third annual 6-word garage sale last weekend. We had at least 15 or 20 garage sales going on at the time. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut out here. It doesn't say I have service, but I want to talk about Resolution 289. I believe it's 289 with the Quick Check property, possible condemnation of that property using lots 1 through 8, which is the Quick Check property, lots 9, which is the parking lot that we own behind the Chinese restaurant, and lots 10, which is the NJ Transit lot. I'm not opposed to all pilots, especially non-residential pilots. I think non-residential pilots have total merit. This is, as Councilwoman Cosby said, it's a 30-year deal for another developer. He said to us last night it's going to be a $100 million project. So I have to assume that he's making his fair share of money off of this. I don't know what the rush is to push this through. I wish I had more information on it. I do appreciate the developer's thorough presentation last night during our caucus meeting. He answered all the questions I had. I think there can be tweaks in this to make it better. My personal opinion, I represent the people that live here now, but I also understand that we are a growing city. With COVID-19, people are leaving these cities in mass. Jersey City is 30% empty in their apartment buildings. Hoboken is 30% empty in their apartment building. Manhattan has a record number of vacancies. People are moving to the suburbs because they don't want to get caught in an apartment. They want to have a house with a lawn and a yard for the kids to run around in case that this happens again. So that's why our houses are selling like instantly as soon as they go on market. I've seen over the past few years a massive turnover rate in our apartments that we have here. It's my opinion that's because we don't offer transit, people that want to use our transit village enough to do. And that is going to involve a lot more economic development going on in this downtown. I saw how Rawway did it over my lifetime. And I don't think they just went right to apartments. I think they created a diverse base of restaurants and a parking garage and this and that. So I'm not going to vote against this tonight. However, I am going to ask the mayor and his council to keep us in the loop and maybe even consider, which is not something that is done often, but consider taking our input into what would be best for this city going forward. And I also want to propose right now that if we're going to do a 30-year pilot with this again on a $100 million project, I don't know how much money is going to be over the 30 years, but I think 25 to 30% of the money should be put aside for the schools and the school budget. It's been done in other cities through pilots, and I think we can do it too. So I asked the city council to consider taking this pilot money and putting it where it's supposed to. Our normal property taxes are going 50% into our school system. This project can also at least have, these projects can also have 25% or so go to the school project to help our school. Obviously, we're all going to be hurting in budgets, and the school board is no different. So with that, I'm not sure if you guys can even hear me because of my service issue, but thank you, Council President. If anyone wants to talk to me further about this project and my opinions on it, whether they're the governing body or a resident, please call me for anything, 908-494-5784. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Strano?
Thank you, Council President. I have in my possession the personnel report for the September 15, 2020 council meeting. Got 7 items here. Starting with number 1, the police department. A, as per civil service determination to retroactive appointment of Charles Crane to supervisor information technology help desk at the annual salary of $117,407, which is effective January 4th of 2020. B is accepting the resignation in good standing of Nicholas Moreno, public safety telecommunicator, effective August 24th, 2020. C is the change in stipend for Rick Davis, OEM, the department coordinator, to $5,000, which will be effective September 16th of 2020. D is amending the annual salary for Sergeant Nicole Melchiona to $124,000, and that's effective September 1st of 2020. E is accepting the resignation not in good standing of police officer Daniel Arake, effective September 14th of 2020. 2, the Board of Health. A is amending the date of hire for Barbara Lesko-Flair, Clerk 1, to August 6th of 2020. 3 is in the construction code. A, amending the date of hire for Dennis Carbone, full-time plumbing code official, effective September 17th of 2020. B is the appointment of Mark Rotacco as construction code official / zoning officer, effective September 17th, 2020, at the annual salary of $108,237. C is the appointment of Art Figueroa as assistant construction code official / building subcode official, effective September 17th of 2020, at the annual salary of $102,137. D is approval to post statewide for a part-time fire subcode official. 4, in the Department of Community Services, Division of Public Works. A, accepting the resignation in good standing of Joshua Reyes, Laborer 1, effective August 21st, 2020. B, accepting the resignation in good standing of Ronald Story, Laborer 1, effective August 28th, 2020. C, approval to post citywide for 2 full-time Laborer 1, Tier 2. D is approval to post citywide for 1 full-time truck driver, Tier 2. E is to approve the provisional appointment of Clemmy McIntyre as a motor boom operator at the salary of $22.95 per hour. The effective date is 9/16 of 2020. In the Division of Municipal Garage, amending the date of hire for Diane Myers, Laborer 1, Tier 2, to September 8th, 2020. 6, in the Office of the Mayor, amending the title of hourly rate for Faith Etipo to summer help at $11 per hour. 7, in personnel, is the granting of FMLA / NJ FMLA to the following employees which are on file in the Personnel Division. I move for approval and request a second. Second.
Mrs. Ormo,
Yeah.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Abstain.
Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
I abstain.
Roman,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Mrs. Yemekaitis.
Yes.
Okay, moving further on, the seventh ward will also be holding a worldwide yard sale. And there's no fee. Fees been waived. To register, you want to register your address, you can contact me at my email address, rstrano@linden-nj.org. And we'll see if we can get you on a list. People can know where to go to the different yard sales. Regarding traffic in the second and third districts in the seventh ward, mainly the number streets, there has been extensive studies done with a few suggestions by our traffic bureau and our city engineering. This has been investigated by the Aviation Plaza traffic, and it can't be rectified by any simple solution. It's going to be a combination of traffic calming implementation, in my opinion. Also, there will most likely be pilot trial periods to see what's most effective before any permanent solutions are found. Our city traffic bureau has been working on this for years, and now our city engineer, who is a traffic engineer as part of his resume, are also adding into this. And the improvements from a 2.1 million local freight impact grant for Southwood Avenue to South Style Street, which is going to include new signage, some other improvements. Traffic signals will be upgraded, and it's going to be part of the route that will be implemented for the truck traffic that will be going in and out of the warehouses down in Tremley redevelopment. Also part of that is a new study to see how the traffic on these streets can be improved. Lastly, I was contacted by the First Calvin Presbyterian Church on Arthur Street.
In case anybody has questions.
They have established what's called a care box, whereby there are goods, some are food items, some are health, some are beauty aids. The items are free. You can both donate and receive these products. And that concludes my report. Oh, the dates of the yard sale were omitted by me. Where is it to be? The date is 9/26. The rain date will be 9/27. It's a Saturday and a Sunday.
Hey, thank you, Councilman Strano. Councilman Blaine?
As soon as I unmute myself. First of all, I just want to say hello to everyone, and hope everyone has had a good, healthy summer for as much as we could. For the most part, in the 8th Ward, I've seen everyone remaining socially distanced, even although we are in a pandemic. I know the kids are very restless and they want to get out, but I appreciate the conduct of all the citizens in Linden, especially in the 8th Ward. The 8th Ward also will be participating in the garage sale. That would be September 19th. Rain date is the 26th. If you'd like to register your address, just email me at gblaine@linden-nj.org. Or, as I always say, the best way to contact me is just to text me, because I work a really hectic schedule. And I'll definitely get back to you. You can text me at 908-612-8255. 8995. I know that I've been around the 8th Ward, and there was promise of some lights going up and some trees coming down. Just please remain patient. The city is going to get around to it. That's all I can say is be patient, and that goes along with our recycle bins that we were promised in September. So I want to say thank you for your patience. Just want to give you an update on a couple of projects that's going on in the 8th Ward. Just so you know, I still take notice of it, and I didn't forget about it. And one is the old paint factory at 1123 on Husser Street. You should know that back in November of 19, the city was approved of a grant from New Jersey EDA to complete a preliminary assessment of the property. And because of the pandemic, it's been a delay, but we were promised that we should be seeing that in the upcoming days. And what that assessment does is allow us to go in there and see what needs to be done to clean up that property, because it's been an eyesore for ages. So hopefully we'll get that up and running and get that out of the community as soon as possible. I know we talked a lot about park plastics. Just so you know that this is just what I was told, and I just want to relay it that no developer really put forth a proposal on developing the property. So that probably will go back out to bid, and hopefully there'll be a developer that will be interested in developing that site. On a good note, the hospitality development at 1900 East Linden Avenue, the framework for the Q Smart Storage and the Wood Spring Suites will be happening very soon. And they also will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony in the upcoming month. So that's really going to take off. And again, it is a pilot program, and I understand that a lot of people on council, along with myself, has concerns about pilot programs, but this one is expected to bring in $12.8 million over the next 30 years. So that's a plus, because that's something we weren't getting. Let's keep that in mind as we go forward. So we're just looking at some positive things that's going on in the 8th Ward. I just want to wish everybody, as we go into the holiday, be safe. Remember, we're still in a pandemic, and let's just continue to love each one like you like to love your children. So God bless you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Blaine. Hey, Councilman Medina.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I hope my audio doesn't cut off or anything like that, but I do have a short report on the 9th Ward, and just bear me a second here. I just want to make sure I get my little notes out here. I do want to thank an individual in our ward that assisted the other night. But real quick in the 9th Ward, first, I don't have any reports on any committees. Just want to thank Councilwoman Caldwell for reading the poll numbers. There's 2 poll locations, so thank you. It's definitely much needed. Just real quick on everyone, I submitted a very, very lengthy list to engineering for sidewalks. I'm hoping to see those sidewalks or some sort of activity happening in the next few weeks. I'm always afraid that we get too late into the year that carries over into the following year when these sidewalks are in really bad shape. But I was told that it's not going to be the case, and they will get out there. Same thing goes with our roads that I have submitted for road paving, which leads me into the Wood Ave project. You know, because of the law and bidding it and whatnot, with the split with Roselle, unfortunately, it's just a long process to get the bidding out and whatnot, and we can't get a good commitment from the county due to the fall season. Unfortunately, we have to push that project into the spring of 21. If for some miracle we were able to make it happen this year, we will. But it's looking most likely it'll be 2021. You know, I want to thank again the mayor for his support on this project and DPW and Nick Pantina for, and also Freeholder Hudak for bringing everyone together to try to facilitate this project for 2020. But just getting everyone around the table and, putting some heads together and figuring out the best way to use our resources to get the road paved. It's been 44 years since that road's been paved, and there's a lot of quality of life issues on Northwood Avenue. And I'm referencing Northwood Avenue between Raritan and Amsterdam, filled with potholes, trucks, etc. It's a really, really poorly shaped road. But you know what? For a road that's 44 years old, definitely outlasted some of our newer roads. I don't even know what they were using back in those days, but it definitely have survived. So to those folks on Wood Avenue, please just give us a few more months. We have the monies. Roselle have their piece. The county's still committed. We just have to figure out the timeline and make sure that we follow the proper process to protect everyone, of course. Trees, unfortunately, the storm took down a lot of our trees here in the 9th Ward. Some of those trees, the stumps are still in the ground at an angle. We still have a lot of infrastructure issues like sidewalks that were lifted, curbs, even part of the roads that were lifted. I know Palisade and Summit was one of those corners that would hit hard. Harvard and DeWitt, another corner that would really hit hard. But we have others, curbs and sidewalks that were just damaged by city trees, and we're hoping to get them all. Again, that's all being worked out. And I ask folks just to continue to be patient. We do have a fairly large city, and we're trying to take care of all the issues. Quality of life issues, I hear you loud and clear. I know we're having issues with cars, modified cars, backfiring. I brought it up to council last night. Police chief sent me one of our noise ordinance, and you know what? I will work with the chief and his team, get them as much information as they need to see if they can squeeze this in their very, very crazy days that they already experience on a daily basis. So we got that. I submitted a few Street of the Week program. It was very lengthy, but I can only pick one. But I figure I shoot 12 or 15 streets at the lieutenant and see what happens, see what sticks. But I was able to just pick the one or two streets that I'd like to see priority. And also, I know the chief reported on the cars that broken into, the cars that are left unlocked, and he mentioned a gentleman that helped assist with the capture of that suspect. And I just want to mention, this gentleman lives on Thelma. I asked him if it was okay, but his name is Abraham Herbst. He was out there that night. He assisted the police department in tracking that individual. So, if you see something, call it in, say something. I don't encourage people to approach these people. You don't know what they have on them, but if you see something, please call it in as soon as possible. As soon as possible, either the 911 or the 474-8500 non-emergency line. I really do encourage folks to just keep an eye out. Besides that, I have been on top of all the high grass complaints. Been actively knocking on people's door, trying to encourage folks to just keep up their property or any help that they may need to find landscapers or whatever the case may be. Maybe they have some financial issues, but great neighborhood to live in over here, in any neighborhood in the city of Linden, but particularly in 9th Ward, it's a great place to live and raise a family. You know what? I just encourage people to just keep that pride and maintain their homes to the best of their abilities. With that being said, I can always be reached 908-986-6100. You can text me there, call me. I did start a new job, so I'm really happy about that. So text me and I get right back to you via text, or shoot me an email, amedina@linden-nj.org. I hope everyone heard me loud and clear, but that completes my report, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hickey?
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to give a buildings and grounds report that I have received. The skate park recently was removed and is being kept in storage, and we will be selling that as scrap as soon as the time comes around. Melnick Park, the material that we've been waiting for has been dropped off, and we should be getting that completed within a week or two. In the planning room, we're waiting for the equipment for the sound system. Once we receive that, it will be installed. Building grounds is still working on parks, weeding, painting, equipment, repairing fences. We have had issues in the parks with graffiti. It happened at School 10, it happened behind McManus, and I know other council members have had issues in their parks. I have requested last night that we consider installing cameras in parks to help alleviate some of these issues and keep the safety of our parks and our neighborhoods safe. Let's see, Lexington Park, we're waiting for pricing on fencing and benches, and we'll be giving you another update probably next month. And currently we're going through our holiday decorations to see what we have. Just an update on our PPE plexiglass issues throughout the city. City Hall courtroom has been completed. The city clerk renovation, we're awaiting bulletproof glass for there, and they'll install it temporarily if City Hall opens before they receive the bulletproof glass in. The prosecutor's office will also be getting a glass in the door by the end of next week. JTG Center is almost complete, and painting of offices is to be done. A new window and counter has been installed, and all new ceiling tiles are going to be spray grid. Engineering and construction code offices will be next, and the library is also in need of plexiglass that Buildings and Grounds is working on. Currently, many of our departments are starting to work on their budgets. Our OEM, Office of Emergency Management, had a meeting last week. I sent in my suggestions of what I feel is needed. We have a big city with a lot of areas that our Office of Emergency Management help with, especially during times of emergencies. I've always claimed that they save our city a lot of money with overtime and assist our police and firemen whenever needed. So I will be putting in for some new equipment and vehicles, as long as the chief is on board as well. We have to have a discussion yet. I mentioned the graffiti in parks, still a huge issue on Academy Terrace, 600 block with littering. I have spoken to the police, and I just want to let everybody know that we will be giving out tickets if people are seen throwing things out their windows and just treating the neighborhood just awful the way they do right now. I've suggested to many residents on that street to get cameras if they don't have cameras, and if they see something, let's turn it over and they could be issued summonses. This is no way to live in our town, and you know, you set bad examples when you do this. I asked last night, as many of you know, I was very disappointed in what happened with a protest that happened a month and a half ago. I have suggested to our city attorney that I do believe in everyone protesting. Everyone has their own beliefs. I'm on board, but we need to be civilized and keep our families and our police officers safe. I'm hoping that we can get a resolution on board, as other towns have, for next month, that you will need to require a permit in order to have a protest or parade or march in our city. What happened in a residential neighborhood was extremely inappropriate. Us as council lead the city, and we hope that together, I hope together, that we can get this taken care of, that it's done appropriately and especially respectfully, and especially to our police officers, residents. I was disappointed to hear that there was an autistic child. Last night I heard an autistic child that lived on the street, and this is not a quality of life for our town. Regarding Reso 289, the Elizabeth Avenue project, I do believe that this is an area that is certainly in need of redevelopment. I want,
Councilwoman, I'm giving you 2 minutes extra time, okay?
thank you. I do want to let everybody know that the vote tonight is just for hiring the redeveloper. I felt that they, what they proposed with their cleanliness, negotiating with New Jersey Transit, high quality of building materials, parking, we still have to go through. But they seem like they were a very good company, and they are going to developer, and they want the most for their tenants in their building, which sets an example for the rest of our town. The thing that worries me is the parking and our negotiations with New Jersey Transit. I just hope that the mayor and the rest of the council will work and include myself and others when it comes to making some of these decisions. I've always been a believer, if we can't take care of the small things, we certainly have bigger things. And this is regarding businesses on Wood Avenue, the cleanliness on Wood Avenue. And we need to take care of those things as well. Our infrastructure and our parking. Trees, I know I said this to council quite some time ago. FEMA has new rules in place that once new trees are planted now, and if there's a severe storm, they will not be reimbursing the city for any serious accidents that happen with trees, whether falling on city properties, homes, and so forth. I have always been here and there about the tree committee. I think respectfully, I know new trees are coming in and residents do request them, but respectfully, every single one of our residents in the city should be asked if they would like a tree or consulted that a tree would be planted there. Besides that, that concludes my report. Thank you for the extra 2 minutes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, I'd just like to make mention, several people have inquired, but our September to Remember Street Festival will be canceled this year, unfortunately, due to what's going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. But we are in the process of planning festivals already for next year. So hopefully this pandemic will find a cure, or the immunizations will work, and we can move forward to life as usual. So, okay.
Ron, what's your friend's name, Ron?
Mayor Armstead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to just start off by talking briefly about the resolution which designates the redeveloper for what we refer to as the Clark property. I'd like to say that this particular project, I can best describe it as transformative. The developer, I have tremendous confidence in. He puts a good product together. He's a professional, and I'm 100% certain that it will be a welcome addition to Wood Avenue in our downtown area. When you look at the overall project and you look at the work, you're talking about high-end apartments, and you're talking about retail space that I think will definitely make Wood Avenue a much better place to live and shop. One of the concerns that people had was the nightlife here. Well, I'm certain that once this is built, that these shops and these stores and whatever they decide to put their restaurants will be supported by not just the tenants in this particular development, but the tenants in the upcoming developments that are in the surrounding area. Now, I know there were a number of issues that were brought up last night. One of them was they talked about the actual train station and the revenues that we receive for the train station. So doing the research today, we have a 60-40 split with New Jersey Transit. So the particular lot that we own, last year it brought in $119,000. Of that, the city of Linden received 71,400. So the number that was put out there last night, 400 or 500,000, $500,000, was incorrect. And I encourage council members that if we're going to be reporting on such things, that we should have our numbers in order and we should actually know what we're talking about when we talk to the public. We have to do our homework if we're going to talk and have real valid discussion about these projects. I've invited Ron Moriello again and Ken Pizzo to join our meeting again tonight, should the public have any questions with regard to this project. So later on this evening, or even during the resolution portion, if Michelle would like to open up the portion of the meeting to the residents with regards to the project, they'd be available to answer any questions. Moving right along, earlier this evening, Councilman Garnett Blaine from the 8th Ward mentioned the Cube Smart and the Woods End Suites. As if you get the time, please drive down Linden Avenue and take a good look at that project. It's coming along just swell. When you think about the revenues that we were receiving prior versus the revenues that we're going to receive once the development is done, it is like day and night, to say the least. So I'd like to thank Councilman Blaine, for reporting on that. Good news. I got some good news for everybody. We've Freddy's frozen custard and steak burgers are coming to Linden. This is an outstanding chain, and it will be welcomed to the development, the Walmart, where the Walmart development is located. So this is Legacy. We call it Legacy Square. So this is just good news. We're happy to see that. We're happy to see that people are still coming in and wanting to build and bring their business here to Linden. And hopefully, again, once all developments are up and running, these new tenants and new people here will help feed businesses not only on Wood Avenue, but throughout the town. And that being said, you know, when I took this office, I made a promise that that I would move this city forward, not just for the current residents, but for future residents. And as you all know, I'm a parent. I have 5 children, and we've been here since 1926. I've had a chance to see where this town has been, where it's at now, and where it could go. So when I make decisions to do developments and bring developments into this town, it is with the interest of not just the current residents, but future generations to come in this town. And again, like we've been here for 100 years, and with any luck, I'd hope that we'd be here for another 100 years, and many of your families as well. We make these developments so that they'll be successful and they'll have a great town to live in. So, and but last but certainly not least, I'm going to announce that we're going to have drive-in movie night, and location will be the Linden Municipal Airport. When you come there, you can enter through Wildcat Way off of Route 1 and 9. The dates will be October 2nd and 3rd, with a rain date of the 4th. So that's Friday the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd, and a rain date of Sunday the 4th. October 9th and 10th, with a rain date of the 11th. The time of arrival should be 7:15. The gates will open at 6 p.m. The movies that we've chosen will be Disney's Lion King, the original, on 10/2, Ferris Bueller's Day Off on October 3rd, Disney's Onward on October 9th, and Black Panther on October 10th. Now the cost is $20 per vehicle, and please remember that you need a seatbelt for each of your passengers. You can bring your own snacks. Lawn chairs are allowed. No alcoholic beverages will be permitted, and Porta Johns will be on site. So that's good news. I'm sure there may be some concern. There's a resolution on our agenda this evening to pay Mullen Bowler Associates. Basically, just for everybody's edification, they are the grant writer, and they will be managing the grant for a rail freight project that we have on the other side of the turnpike. Now, just so people know, this particular asset is being built with all grant money, and it will be a city asset. and that we will be able to charge anyone who wants to transport goods on that rail line. They'll have to pay a fee. So it's a decent asset, and it's once again another way that we've decided to try to move the city forward to increase the revenues. That concludes my report. And again, if anyone has any questions, we do have Ron Moriello and Kevin Pizzo here to answer questions with regards to the development at the Clark property. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I left out one thing. I forgot to give the COVID totals.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor.
There were, to date, there are 1,486 cases of COVID in Linden. There was only one new case as of yesterday, and deaths have been 0 since the middle of August. So whatever we're doing here in Linden, it seems to be working. Let's hope it continues in that fashion. And once again, thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we're going to move on to the resolutions. We had an additional resolution number 2020-294. I'm going to ask the clerk to read that additional resolution.
Resolution authorizing application to the Union County Trust Fund grant through Kids Recreation Trust Fund. Whereas the voters of Union County overwhelmingly voted in favor of the Union County Open Space Recreation and Historic Preservation Trust Fund in November of 2000. And whereas the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders established the trust fund, creating local funding opportunities such as the Field of Dream in 2001, Green the Streets in 2002, Preserve Union County in 2003, and Kids Recreation Trust Fund in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And whereas the 2020 Chairman's initiatives called for the continuation of the Kids Recreation Trust Fund program, a program designated to fund 2 types of recreational opportunities: scholarships and field recreation center improvements for our county's children. And whereas the City of Linden wishes to apply to the Union County Trust Fund through the Kids Recreation Trust Fund program for a matching grant in the amount of $115,000 for Form 002 recreation grant application for the upgrading of tennis courts in Dr. Martin Luther King Park to ensure the safety and enjoyment of Linden's youth. And whereas the City of Linden will match the Kids Recreation Trust Fund grant program award with $115,000 for the recreational grant. And whereas said funds will be subject to the approval of the City of Linden 2021 budget. And whereas the City of Linden will use the trust fund dollars in accordance with such rules and regulations governing the grant program. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Linden that the mayor or the successor to the office of mayor is hereby authorized to: 1, make application for the grant; 2, provide additional application information and furnish such documents as may be required; 3, act as the authorized correspondent of the above named applicant; 4, this resolution shall take effect pursuant to law.
Okay, can we have a motion on resolutions 2020-277 through 2020-294?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolutions 2020-277 to 294 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, please.
Okay, Councilwoman Cosby?
I do want to discuss again 289. The mayor, the folks are here. I have no problem with the developer. They seem to be credible. Unlike, in the past, there were some concerns about other folks who were given sweetheart deals, such as what Councilman Roman said was true. If there was any way for us to, ensure that some of the monies go to education, we would have to do that in a development agreement. The pilot agreement is not going to do that. I don't believe, unless I'm wrong. He also, when the mayor said that he's looking forward to developing for the people now and in the future. In the future, we want to be sure that people can afford to live in Linden. I can't stress that enough. It's important that the rents are affordable and then they stay affordable. We don't want to create, where folks are, and they said last night, the small apartment's gonna start at 16 or 1700 coming in the door for one bedroom. In my neighborhood in the 5th Ward, apartments up for 1700 are either 2 or 3 bedrooms. I get it, it's in the transit village, but what's gonna happen in the future? They talked about increasing the rents the next year after they get the development done and making sure they got the right tenants and stuff like that. I just feel in my heart saying that since we started developing these units, it's our responsibility as council to include these set asides. The developer said he's well versed in it. He has no problems. We had previously met our obligation, but we shouldn't be mandated by the state to look out for the affordability in our city. We shouldn't have to be told to do this when there's an opportunity, and it's not going to hurt anything to wait a month, put it in, and maybe even put in what the councilwoman said last night. Councilwoman Hickman mentioned security, making sure that in that agreement they agree to provide security. The parking deck is going to include public and private parking, from what I understood, and it's important. That's what I needed to say. I know I emailed every single member of the city council. I included the research that I did and that I shared on a podcast several months ago. Not to be, beating a dead horse, but can we wait, add it in, and see what else we can do to benefit the residents that are going to be here maybe 30 years from now? That's all I have to say.
Mayor Armstead?
Yes, and again, I just want everyone to know that, if you look around us, you go to Rawway, you see building, you go to Elizabeth, you see building. I've heard the tremendous compliments that were given to what Rawway is doing. And I want to know, what is it that they're doing that we shouldn't be doing? And again, that's moving this town forward. They
have set aside.
I don't know about how many set asides they have. I know we've met our Mount Laurel obligation here. I don't know if that's a fact, if they have set asides, any developers there. I know the one in Capitaglia just built over on Elizabeth Avenue. There's no set asides there. There's certainly no set asides in some of that new development that's going up in Rawway as I know today. So, this is the downtown area. It's right near a train station. It's the crown jewel of Linden, and we have to move it forward. It's important that we move it forward. If we're going to ever build Wood Avenue up, you have to bring people here. One of the biggest concerns is right now, people talk about the type of establishments that we have on Wood Avenue. They complain about there being too many barbershops and nail salons. Well, if restaurants are ever going to survive and thrive in Linden, you've got to have people. And the type of people who go to restaurants are the type of people who are using that transit line and coming home at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night and looking for something to eat because the millennials don't want to cook. They just don't want to cook. And they want to go to the restaurants, and many of them are earning a decent wage in restaurants. Listen, we have to face it. The world is changing, and Linden's got to change with it. The low-income housing components. First of all, we meet our Mount Laurel obligation through our buildings on Dill Avenue and the one on the corner of Cranford and Dill Avenue. And there is a plan as going forward to acquire additional land to continue to address our obligation for low-income housing. But the flip side of that is developers have to come in and they have to, and it's not our money that they're spending. They're spending their money. $100 million they're spending for this development. It's not our money; it's their money, and we have to give them a chance to spend that money in our town and make our town better.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Hickey?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Mayor, I'm just curious, after, if we vote on yes to this project tonight, does council have the final say of what plan we are putting in place there with a vote?
Mayor, I have Bill Northgrave here also. Maybe he could answer
Okay.
some. Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman. Finish your.
Yes, that's a,
Well,
that's a,
I
that's a
wanted
question
to
more
know
appropriate for
that.
Bill Northgrave. Let Bill answer that.
Okay, finish your questions, Councilwoman, and
Well, I wanted to know that. I wanted to know if the pilot program they are being given is the same that we have given to others previously.
Yes, it is.
I'm very on the fence with this tonight, only because, one, I thought the developers were very nice, as I stated before, but other towns, as of Rowway, they built up a big, great train station first. They had a theater first. I know you're shaking. We have to respectfully, Mayor, I disagree. I feel like lately we are just plopping developments all over the place. As I said, we're putting the cart before the horse. I want to see a plan. You know, we have trouble doing the minor things in our city as keeping our corners and streets cleaned and flowers planted and trees pruned and cut in our downtown area. I've suggested many times about putting ordinances in place about how many different kinds of businesses to have, which other towns do as well. So my concern on just plopping down, which it started to seem that way, is more apartment buildings is very concerning to me, especially with our old infrastructure. The other thing they weren't so sure about was parking. You know, they were concerned about the parking for their residents and say they would supply us with parking, but quite honestly, in all our studies for 30 years, the most important things to a downtown area, which is why I wanted to have a program here, is our parking. We need a parking garage for our residents. And I'm concerned we're going to take parking spots away from our residents who travel from the other side of Linden to go to the train station. So as we're developing and we're hearing all this, I don't feel like we should be giving all these pilot programs away. And I just want to know definitely that council has the final say before any financial agreements are agreed on or any development is certainly approved. That's it.
thank you, Councilwoman.
Before Bill
Thank you.
Northgrave answers, there's something that you know. Pilot agreements are you do. There's statutory agreements. We just can't come up with any old random numbers. You know, there's a statute that says how much you can allow, what percentage you can allow a developer to be charged. So this is something that's above our scope, but the state gives us that statute. But I want to talk a little bit about the other towns. You know, first of all, well, I want to talk about Linden. First of all, you can't build a building. You can't say, hey, put up restaurants and have no people. I would think that people would be more interested in opening up restaurants if there were people in the town. So how are you going to get somebody to come open up a restaurant and say, okay, we can open up a restaurant, and nobody's going to come to it? The idea here is to bring people into your downtown area. I mean, you work for the county. You work up in, I guess, up in Berkeley Heights now. But if you took a ride into Elizabeth over the last year and a half, and you see what's happened over there in that particular area, the number of units they built up, and the people who are coming into that area now, which was, you know, it's phenomenal. And you go to Rowway, it's the same thing. The people are moving into these units, and the same thing is going to happen to Linden. They're going to move into Linden, and they're going to increase the foot traffic in our area, and that's going to incentivize those who are interested in opening up restaurants. I certainly wouldn't open up a restaurant if there was no people. You want people, and then you open up the restaurant. Now, Rowway, believe it or not, was a town that had some restaurants that were basically, they weren't doing that well. They were basically just getting by. And now, because you have people in the town, they're doing a lot better. Okay, so the idea is you have to bring the people And then once you bring the people, restaurants, there'll be an interest in opening up restaurants. And that's the way, that's the approach that we have to take.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Northgrave, before you go on, I have Councilman Roman. I'm going to have him raise any questions or concerns he has.
I'll defer to Mr. Northgate. I'd like to know the answer to that question as well.
Okay. Mr. Roman.
Okay, I mean, the main question is that the financial agreement is not on the agenda tonight. Financial agreement will come down the road once we get pro formas. We can't get those yet because, as you heard in their presentation last night, they're still working on scenario 1 or scenario 2. So it's going to be impossible for us to evaluate. And by us, I mean NW Financial works with the city, evaluates these things and makes recommendations as to what the pilot program should look like. So that's not on the agenda. That will be in the future, Councilwoman. And you'll get a chance to look at that. That can all be dealt with. And you'll see what it is, what they're projecting their numbers are, what the city's portion of those numbers are, and how that will go forward. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just to echo what the mayor said, and I think I don't think the redeveloper is with us tonight. One of the things that I hear continually about residential, especially downtown development deals, is that you got to have what they call the heartbeats. Until you have people there, no one's going to spend the money for restaurants. It's just not. I mean, if you think about densely packed areas, whether it's the Jersey Shore, New York City, wherever, where they're densely packed is where you get the restaurants. The plan has already been adopted. That was adopted a while ago, and they have to follow that plan. And that's what this redevelopment agreement says, that they're going to follow the plan that this council has adopted. But again, that plan is really more of a box, and their application to the planning board has to go in that box. So they can't build something that hasn't already been signed off on by council. I have heard, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I have heard the concern you've expressed about the parking on numerous occasions. And I honestly, again, I don't want to be a cheerleader for the redeveloper, but the argument they made is the one that really carries the day, which is if they can't park their tenants adequately, they are not going to have tenants. They're going to lose that investment. And that's an awful lot of money. That's their money. What I heard last night is that it's all their money. So if they can't get it adequately parked, then their tenants are going to go away. Their rents are going to drop. They're not going to get the return on investment that they're looking for. I know I won't, I'm not dismissing your concern. I know it is a concern for elected officials. But that is, they have to meet the plan, and that is what has to go before the planning board, and there'll be the appropriate studies and what have you. I can tell you, I know that it doesn't seem this way, but when you have something right on top of a transit hub, your parking goes way down. As to somebody had raised the question earlier about sharing money with the Board of Ed, that does not have to be in a redevelopment agreement. Actually, the redevelopment agreement expires when the building's complete. They will have satisfied their obligation. So that agreement essentially terminates. The agreement will continue, but that again would still be between the redeveloper and the town, not between the town and the city and the Board of Ed. So that is an issue, and that you have to be careful with it. People throw around the concept that you could just write a check to the Board of Ed. It's really not that simple. There's some complicated laws that are involved, and there's different ways to get the money over to the Board of Ed. But those do not need to be in the financial agreement and in the redevelopment agreement. I would not recommend to go in there anyway. The redevelopment agreement would only be obligations they would have while the project is commencing, is leading up to completion. Once it's complete, that agreement, you can have things survive the termination of that agreement, but the better place to put a longer term commitment would be in the financial agreement, but that would only be binding on the redeveloper. You know, if you want to do something in the city and the Board of Ed, that is between, you know, this body and the Board of Ed to figure out how you want to structure that.
Thank
don't-
you, Mr.
That's the
Northgrave.
question.
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, I thought in the past, and I came in, I was elected a little bit later than this, but I thought the other 3 buildings that Meridia were bringing was going to start bringing bring the people in and the restaurants and so forth and so on. So I am concerned because I do represent a lot of people in the 10th Ward and other people in the city that believe in me. And they're very uncomfortable right now with having all these apartment buildings go up. Like I said earlier, we can't take care of the little things. How are we going to take care of the big things? You know, and honestly, the developer said last night, and I don't know him from Adam, but the developer said last night, don't worry, we have the money. We're funding it ourselves. Well, you know, I can go to the jewelry store and tell them, yeah, I'll take the 10-carat diamond ring. I have the money. Don't worry about it. Put it, you know, order it for me. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to make.
Okay. All right.
What? Did I do something wrong?
No, your time was up
Oh,
earlier. Okay. I have other people that are asking to speak. If we can get to them, they have some questions of Mr. Northgrave. Thank you. Councilman Roman?
Right, so like, you know, just to start off, to cut a sitting council member off, council president, when we're making one of the biggest decisions in the city's history.
Councilman, you know we have rules that we're following. I'm trying
Right,
to
but
be
maybe
consistent.
You should be maybe taking a leadership role to allow 1/11 of the council or 1/11 of the governing body to make in a total influence.
Councilman, it was your turn to speak. I'm going to
Right,
ask you.
remember that
I
you
could
were-
come back to Councilwoman Hickey, but I'm trying to get everybody a chance to talk.
If you guys want to be an open government and want us to come on board with this.
Councilman, please stick to the resolution, please.
Oh my.
I have Mr. Northgrave waiting to answer any questions you may have.
So I ran a campaign when I was 27 years old, and I said, kids my age, 27, 28, 29, now I'm 32, we go to Rawway. That's what we do. And it's because Rawway I've always said, has a diverse restaurant base. Rawway had a diverse, Rawway didn't just build buildings and people came in and their restaurants got better and more diverse. Rawway built a train station, numero uno. They have a bit of a bigger downtown with a lot of square blocks instead of our just one straight line. So they had the Water's Edge from Meridia all the way out near the river. They had the Meridia Grand, which was the first one that went up kind of near the downtown. And maybe, I'm pretty sure that was it at first. And then they built a parking garage in the train station with like, I don't know, 10, 11 different sources of revenue, and everyone kind of kicked in for it. And then people wanted to come downtown because they had a diverse restaurant base that started to expand. Then they built 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 apartment buildings that have just come in. And now there's a lot of people because there's such a big demand to be in Rawway. You go to downtown Rawway on a Friday night, it is pretty much jam-packed because they're doing a very good job down there. So it's not as easy, and I don't disagree with the mayor completely here, but it's not as easy as we will build it and they will come. That's not how it worked. It didn't work with Meridia. That sure didn't happen. What we need to do is what I said last night, is that the mayor put words in my mouth just previously, and he said that I was complaining about barber shops. It's not true. What I had said is that with 1,000 square foot retail frontages, which is what we have on Wood Avenue, everything's about 1,000 square feet, 1,500 square feet. You're going to get a lot of the same things: liquor stores, pizza shop, barber shop, salons, nail salons. That's just because that's what fits there. We need the retail spaces, whether it's 17,000 or 13,000, because the resolution allows for both here. We need it to be 2,000, 2,500 square feet so we can get that restaurant in there. We need an economic development team thinking about where that liquor license is going to come from. Whether, I don't know if, you need to put that in the developer's head. Hey, you need a liquor license. They're not easily found around here. On top of that, the developer is not doing any upgrades to our streets. If you are from Linden, you know that Lumber Street and Elizabeth Avenue has sewage and flooding issues. What are we going to do about that when we add 1,000 units on West Elizabeth Avenue? Maybe more. I mean, I think you guys are planning like almost 2,000 there. What are we going to do? Is there sewage? Are we just going to eat the cost and we're going to redo it? Maybe we should put in a plan that they have to redo it. I don't know the timing for that. However, I think it's a good idea to say, hey, developers, y'all are going to pay a little bit each, and we're going to do this here. Again, I'm not completely opposed to bringing this in. However, I think that there is a way to do it. I think that Rawway made some mistakes. They weren't just perfect on it, and that we can take the opportunity to learn it. But I've been in downtown Rawway constantly most of my adult life, and it wasn't just as easy as the mayor said previously. There was a lot more to it. Finally,
Okay, Councilman, your time is up. I have Councilwoman Cosby waiting to speak.
Right. Thank you, Council President. Great job.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Cosby.
Mr. Northgrave, we talked to the developer last night, and he was clear insofar as he's okay with adding set aside and offering 20%. We only really need 15%. He's going to have 500 units. So I'm asking, council, out of 500 units, can't we say in our development agreement, 15% should be for moderate income? Low income is not what people think it is. Like someone said, it's a teacher. It's that first year policeman or policewoman who we want to live in our city. All I'm asking is that we take this agreement off the table, put in the things that we actually want, things that would benefit the future generation of Linden. I'm going to be 50 next year. I hope to live another 30 years and see all of this come to fruition, but you never know. Things are changing. I know that most employers are seeing the benefit now of telecommuting. So you're not going to have that, millennial or whatever the generation we want to call them, jumping on and off that train like, the plan originally called for, because they're going to be working from home. I would like Linden to have more than just restaurants. Right now, let me tell you something. People come to Linden for different things. People come to Linden, believe it or not, to go to Amici. They come to Linden to go to different restaurants around the city. So we should be known for more than a train station, warehouses, right? And so maybe if we take this agreement, make this the best of all of them. The mayor said that we met the Mount Laurel requirement. So what? If we met it years ago, that was with the Housing Authority and the low-income senior properties, right? But now, since then, there have been 1,000 units planned, and we've broken ground on at least, 500? So now, sir, we do now have a requirement under the Mount Laurel agreement. And like I said, I did the research. I'm not trying to, bust anybody's balls here. I'm just looking out for the future generations. Low income, moderate income, Garwood has it. Most developments have it, if not in all of their projects, in many of them. So I don't want to, also, let's stop comparing Linden to other cities at the end of the day. We're not some of the other cities, but Broadway is a really good example because they have a nightlife. They have, Performing Arts Center. They have a downtown where you can walk around and feel safe. And then, they have a lot of different things. My real concern also is what happens to the commuter parking. You're going to have a 500 unit, 6-story apartment building. And besides that, this agreement says that they're going to do whatever is necessary to take that property. I am 100% opposed to eminent domain when the property owner, doesn't agree. Quick check's not bothering anybody. Do we really need 500 new apartments? Why are we rushing this? Let's think about that.
Okay, Councilwoman, your time is up. And I've just been made aware that you were broadcasting the meeting live on Facebook. Okay, I'm going to ask you to please shut it off. We have to take the council as a whole has to decide on that.
Council President?
As a policy.
Yeah, I'm not going to shut it off. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I have the right as a member of the city of Linden to stream this. It's not affecting me. I'm focused on the meeting. I have a separate device for this. Pretend that I was at the meeting and I posted a tripod on the corner, right? People need to see this. A lot of people weren't able to log in. With all due respect, I asked several months ago, many times, this platform has the ability to post it live. If for nothing else, Brad could take a camera and put it in front of a computer and post it on channel 36. It's not that serious.
Councilwoman, you're out of order right now.
What are you gonna
Okay.
do, kick me out the meeting?
Councilwoman, the council as a whole will discuss this and we will decide as a whole whether to stream Facebook Live. One council member does not decide that. Mr. Antonelli, can I please have a legal opinion on this?
That is correct, actually. It's a policy of council to, in the first instance, televise your meetings. Under the Open Public Meetings Act, there is no requirement that the meeting be broadcast on TV. That's a decision of council. Likewise, the decision to put it on Facebook Live or any other medium is a decision of council. And so for that reason, you are correct in your position, Council President. The councilwoman is out of order. And if she continues, and does not honor the request to turn Facebook Live off, then you have your options as to what you can do vis-a-vis Ms. Cosby.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Okay, Mr. Northgrove. Is he still on here?
I'm coming. Yes, Council
Okay.
President. Sorry.
Okay. Can you just wrap this up on this development? There were a few comments made.
Council President, let me say something. There is no policy that says
Mr. Northgrave?
I think I said, I don't know if I left any questions unanswered, and if I did, I'm sorry. I don't know what they are. This is just approving this designating them as the redeveloper and requiring them to build the project either under scenario 1 or scenario 2, depending upon what happens with transit. The financial agreement will be down the road, and that would be a separate action. What it actually looks like, what type of siding is going to be on, those types of things, that would all be with the planning board. I'm not sure if there's anything else I need to address.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we had a motion and a second on the floor. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
I am abstaining on 277, 287, 290, 291, and 293. And I'm voting no to 289. Yes to the rest.
Roman, Councilman Roman, Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
I'm abstaining on 291, yes to the rest.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
No to 289, yes to the rest.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Abstain on number 291, yes on the rest. Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances for first reading. We're going to start with ordinance 6446 this evening.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 traffic of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance adopting and enacting the revised general ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Linden that Section 1, Chapter 7 Traffic shall be, and the same is hereby amended as follows. 7-33 Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A Handicap Parking on Street, delete the listed spots within the ordinance.
Okay. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 6446?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6446 and ask for a second.
Second.
Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed,
Yes, again.
Yes.
Cosby, Mrs. Cosby,
Yes.
Roman. We don't. Okay. Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yeah.
Hickey.
Yeah.
Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 6447.
An ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Goethals Commerce Park Urban Renewal LLC.
Okay, can we have a motion to introduce ordinance? Muted. Oh. Something just happened. Okay, can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 6447?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6447 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Armand,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, Councilman Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
No.
Roman,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
No.
Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Yes. Ordinance 6448.
An ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Linden Renewal Energy Urban Renewal LLC.
Okay, can we have a motion to introduce ordinance 6448?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6448 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed.
Yes.
Cosby. Mrs. Cosby,
No. Sorry.
Roman,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
No.
Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Yes. Councilwoman Cosby, you're out of order. You were asked to stop Facebook Live. If you don't shut it off, I'm going to have you removed from the meeting.
What? Tell me what rule I'm breaking again? Where is it written that it can't be live on Facebook? Tell me where it is written that it can't be live on Facebook.
Councilwoman, I'm going on the advice of our lawyers, Mr. Antonelli.
That's a punk move, Michelle. Either, let me tell you something. It's not hurting anybody that I'm to the public. Where's it written?
It's, may I, permission to speak?
Go ahead. Go
It's a-
ahead, Mr.
It's a
Antonelli.
policy decision of council, just like to televise the council meeting. Where's that in writing?
Where's
Okay?
the policy?
It's a decision of council, okay? Not a decision of one, Councilwoman. And it's for that reason, you're not permitted to do so. You're also participating on Facebook Live and not participating in this meeting. It's also is why you're delayed response in voting on some of these ordinances or resolutions.
That's not why. You know why my response is delayed? Because I had to switch.
I've been hopping on Facebook Live to see that, okay? So
I don't see a policy.
you believe that.
I remember making a policy. This is a sham.
I have the floor.
Yes,
Don't remember that.
Council, Mr. Antonelli has the floor right now.
No worries.
If you believe that these meetings should be on Facebook Live, then that's something to be discussed as a body. Just like any other member of council can't decide to do certain things.
Exactly.
Need permission to leave the meeting. There are certain rules here. It doesn't need to be in writing, okay? It's a policy decision to televise the meetings. Again, there's no requirement to televise them. So it's a decision of council. That's where it is, and that's where it starts, and that's where it ends.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli.
You're welcome.
So you're
Hey.
censoring her freedom of speech?
Ordinance 6449.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a schedule of titles, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan of all employees of the city of Linden, passed August 15th, 1995, and approved August 16th, 1995, adopting salary schedule 4006.
Okay, can we have a motion to introduce ordinance 6448?
I move ordinance number 6449 for introduction and request a second.
Second.
Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby, Roman,
Aye.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey.
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakis.
Yes. Mr. Antonelli has to be called upon.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Prior to the reading of this ordinance, Councilman Roman chimed in freedom of speech. And I'm not sure if anybody heard it, but
Yeah, we're gonna do
I wanted to respond to that because it's very frustrating as the city attorney, because I'm not here to babysit members of the community. You have council rules that you've adopted that not only, address your conduct at meetings, but also addresses conduct of members of the public. This is a limited public forum. This is not out in the park, out on the sidewalk, where yes, freedom of speech and under our Constitution, both under the state of New Jersey and under the federal government, gives you the right to pretty much say a lot of things. This is a limited public forum. And you, as a body, have collectively decided that there's certain rules that govern your conduct. It's not that complicated. And I'm just asking and reminding everybody, you can't speak unless the council president recognizes you. I ask for permission every time I speak, and I don't speak until I'm recognized. That's just a very simple concept. Number two, once you're recognized, okay, there's no back and forth. You can't speak until you're recognized. So there should be any back and forth, whether it's between myself, a member of council, or amongst each other. That's the way it goes, not because I said it, but that's what the council rules require. So I just want to address that because it's frustrating as I sit here and hearing people chime in certain things that frankly aren't correct. It's not about freedom of speech here. It's about following your rules and your regulations. If anyone wants to chime in at any time, then you can amend your rules. You don't have to be recognized by the council president, and then the meetings will be chaos. So I just wanted to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Ordinance 6450.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $286,000 for the acquisition of a rear loader sanitation truck with a plow for the Division of Public Works for and by the city of Linden, and authorizing the issuance of $271,700 in bonds or notes of the city for financing part of the appropriation.
Okay, can we have a motion for introduction of ordinance 6450?
I move ordinance 6450 for introduction and request a second.
Second.
Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
I abstain.
Roman,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey, Mrs. Hickey,
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Ordinance 6451.
Ordinance of the City Council, City of Linden, adopting a redevelopment plan entitled Block 339, Lot 5, the former East Dugout property, pursuant to local redevelopment and housing law.
Okay, can we have a motion for introduction of ordinance 6451?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to move ordinance number 6451.
Go ahead.
Yes, Council President, I'd like to move ordinance number 6451 for introduction and request a second.
Second.
Mormon,
Yes.
Zevic,
Yes.
Caldwell. Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
Cosby,
No.
Roman,
Yes.
Strano,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Okay, we're going to move on to comments from members of the public. Okay, I'm going to ask everyone to please, if you're attending, to please use the raised hand icon located in the bottom of the program to identify yourself. You will then be given 3 minutes to speak. Please give your name and address as at any council meeting. Failure to do so will result in your being muted and not recognized further. And again, if you're registered more than once, you'll only be recognized to speak one time under your first registration, as with any council meeting. When the public comment portion is open, as it is now, the ability to register will be closed. So anyone in attendance who would like to speak, please raise your hands at this time. Okay. Again, I'm going to ask anyone from the public that wishes to speak to please raise your hand now, and then we're going to close out the ability to register to speak.
Council President, I'm getting several messages from members of the public that they're not able to access the meeting currently.
Okay. I'm going to recognize at this time Anthony Mislon. Please state your name and address.
Anthony Mislin, excuse me, Anthony Mislin, 444 Inwood Road. Earlier in the council meeting, Mayor Armstead had stated that there's no point in having restaurants being built and open in the city if there's no one in the city to go to them. How about the 40,000 plus residents that are currently living here that don't necessarily occupy even the first Meridia building, let alone the second Meridia building that's still under construction? Those people have to eat. They can also go to different places other than just the restaurants and barbershops that are currently on Wood Avenue. But going by your logic, then what's the point of opening the Chick-fil-A and the Hook and Reel and even the new restaurant that you spoke of earlier today, if these buildings that are currently in development are only going to bring those people in? Who's going to go to these buildings that are being currently developed? And second, just to, public speaking has already been limited, especially on the resolutions. We can't speak on any of the resolutions. I don't see what the big deal is with Councilwoman Cosby live streaming this exact meeting. That goes to transparency for this council. It seems like things are being hidden. If this was the case, you're broadcasting on TV 36 when we're live, which unfortunately we haven't been able to for the last couple of months. But in the last 6 months, how come we haven't come to any type of resolution? You say it has to be voted on or come to an agreement as a council. I know this is definitely not the first time that Councilwoman Cosby has brought this up. So why is this not being addressed behind closed doors? If as we said, city attorney says it has to be brought up and agreed upon beforehand. But if that's not being done, what's the point? What are you guys trying to hide? Why is it constantly that it's a fight to show transparency to us residents? You want to do things behind closed doors and come up with these pilot programs, which don't seem like they're really getting us anywhere. But when Councilwoman Cosby wants to show transparency, it's a problem. Okay.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Keep laughing.
Sir, and as our attorney did say, this is a policy decision. We will be discussing it, just like the changes in the rules to council. They were not my personal rules. It was voted on upon by this council, just like we voted years ago to televise the council meeting. Live streaming to Facebook will have to be voted upon by the council. So we will discuss that in caucus. Okay, I'm gonna call upon number 5032W. Please give your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Donald Givens. My address is 1313 West Baltimore Avenue, Linden. First, just on the two things you guys were talking about, it should be an open, this stifling the public in any kind of way, whether it's on Facebook or whatever, this is a public forum. And the public should be allowed to, it shouldn't be a decision for you guys, it has to be a council decision for the public to see something that is free. It would be on Channel 36. I just wanted to say that. And this development that's going on all around Linden, I agree with John Roman, and I agree with Gretchen. You're putting the cart before the horse. You say you have to have the people before you have the attractions. That doesn't make sense. Rawway is the model that you guys should definitely be looking at, because as John said, they have a cultural restaurant base, and they have a lot of cultural things. They have an art center. Understand? And they have things that attract people to Rawway. If you go down to Cranford, all the way down the line where you're building these developments, the one on St. George Avenue makes no sense to me. None. It's not near the train station. There's nothing on St. George Avenue but vacant lots, a Popeyes and a Wawa. I don't know what you're going to attract there. But anyway, my question is now for, I'm a resident of the 4th Ward, and there's some concerns. Wally brought up the issue with the traffic, the cars being parked too close to the corners. It's still happening on Elizabeth Avenue. He mentioned that 2 months ago, and nothing has been done. I just passed there the other day, and I still can't get out on McCallum Street. Also, we never addressed. People are coming to me, and I'm not the councilman, but people are coming to me. I'm glad you guys brought up the recyclable bags. People are complaining about the recyclable bags in the 4th Ward. They're also complaining about the speeding along McCallum Street and along Bauer Street. To me, you understand? So to Mr. Muhammad and to the mayor, and particularly in front of 4th Ward Park, after the young man was killed, there in front of 4th Ward Park, I never understood why you don't have flashing lights and giant speed bumps in front of 4th Ward Park. But your residents are complaining about this. These kids are speeding up and down McCallum Street and Lincoln Street. And Bauer Street. And you guys need to do something about that. And my last issue is Mr. Mayor and Mr. Muhammad. You never ever address the killings that happen in the 4th Ward.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a liar, cause
Okay. Now we're going to recognize SMG965U. Please state your name.
Hello?
Yes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Kaiser, John Kaiser, 6th Ward. Hope everybody is well. Listen, to stop all of this, fighting about live streaming and all, I said it last month. Now it's September. We need to get back into City Hall. What's going on with that? We need to be back to live meetings. All right. I didn't even get to try out the resolution, the John Kaiser resolution you guys wrote up for me in March because the meeting stopped about taping it. You know, the public needs to see these meetings. You guys just keep adopting new policies as you go along. Oh, wait, we can't do this. We can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, about the new developments going up. Hey, listen, I'm in a distinct sub-generation, Xennials. I'm not Generation X. I'm not a millennial. I'm right in between there. I'm about redevelopment. When this was brought up many years ago, when the mayor was a councilman, they were talking about Linden was going to be this hub, the transit hub, the Soho. I was really excited about it. I've worked in Jersey City. I've worked in New York City. And, I have a background in hospitality. I've worked in very high-end restaurants. And, I look forward to Linden being that type of city. I like to be, I'm lifelong Linden. I like to be an ambassador to some of these new residents for the city. I am a staunch defender of Linden, probably to a fault. My friends that have moved out of Linden tell me I'm crazy for defending the city the way I do. But I do see so much potential here. But I just don't see it so far from the first Meridia development. I guess we're going to start to see with the second one. But I just feel it's a little ambitious, maybe too dense. And I'm not sure we're attracting the people we want to attract. They're my people. I'm a, what do I say? I'm a blue collar guy with white collar skills, but I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly how we want. Somebody just mentioned to me now, that the pilot, as far as the pilot goes, hopefully these companies don't go bankrupt and we never see the money from these pilots. And I found it very funny that the developer last night, who was very, very clear and very concise, I was impressed with his presentation. He was dissing Meridia, saying that they're cheap. So, we're calling this the crown jewel, but now they're going after, the mayor's main guy, George, over there. So, yeah, we need to get back into City Hall, though. A lot of you guys have no problem lying to us to our face, so you're gonna have no problem lying on a Zoom call when you can't even see us. Again, though, I hope everybody is well, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public comment section of the meeting?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond,
Yes.
Javik,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed. Cosby,
Yes.
Yes.
Roman,
Yes.
Strana,
Yes.
Blaine,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Icky.
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Okay, we're going to now move on to comments from members of the governing body. Okay, 1 minute.
5 hours. Okay.
All right, please use your raised hand icon. If anyone in the governing body wishes to speak.
Okay, I can look. Okay. You're muted. You're okay. Oh, you want to raise your hand? Okay. I'll raise my hand.
Okay, Councilman Medina.
Mess.
Council President, real quickly and briefly, I don't recall Councilwoman Hickey mentioning, but we're going to be working on a garage sale, yard sale for this 9th and 10th ward, and we're hoping to have the information out in the next couple of weeks for sometime in October. Just want to throw that out and mention it. And real brief, this whole conversation.
Police department.
Sorry? Sorry, Council President, I thought you were saying something here. And it's just the whole thing in the argument with the pilot program, the redevelopment, real brief, and only have a minute, but, I worked in Jersey City when I was 17 years old. And I can tell you there was nothing down there. There was nothing down there. And if it wasn't for pilot programs, as long as they're responsible and we manage it correctly and review everything as a governing body, it will work. I'm a big proponent to redevelopment, responsible redevelopment in town. And I'm excited to see the opportunities that are coming into the city. So again, let's give it an opportunity, look at all the facts and look at all the renderings and concepts once everything has gone through this process. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Blaine.
I concur with Councilman Medina, and I encourage other council members to look at the big picture and look at the development of our town and look at the added value that it brings. I think we should monitor it as we should responsibly, make sure we're not overdoing it in certain areas, but overall, it's a positive move in the right direction. And it would only increase the standard of living to eyesores that's all around the town. We make a big deal about development, but a lot of these developments are in areas that were vacant. They weren't bringing any money, and some of them were eyesores. So if we're going to bring in development in those spots, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Blaine. Okay, Councilman Javik.
Yes, the development that's taken place in this town is great for this town, and I support it 100%. I think we really got to seize the moment. The developers that are coming in and offering them different things, and with the pilot programs and so forth. Yeah, it's what it takes to get it going, and we've got to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Councilman Caldwell.
Yeah, I wanted to say in reference to the redevelopment, I've had some text messages from some of my constituents. They were saying that they didn't want it. So I've done some research. If you look at Elizabeth, if you look at Cranford, if you look at Roselle Park, there's apartment buildings going all over the place. And I have to say, I've been a homeowner for the last 16 years, lived in Linden all my life, and I've never seen the property value. Like, you can't buy a house fast enough. Like, I was thinking about moving a couple of years ago, and my friend said, if you put your house on the market in Linden, you better be ready to move. So I think that we're in a good predicament, and I think the opportunity to improve the Clark property would be an asset to Linden, and I think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Caldwell. Okay, Mayor Armstead.
Okay, first of all, I had my hand raised for both myself and Councilman Muhammad here, so I'm gonna let Councilman Muhammad go first, and then I'll go after him, okay?
Okay, go ahead, Councilman Muhammad.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I'm just proud to be a Linden resident and been here 16 years with being a taxpayer. And everything is great in the fourth ward. We just need the citizens to cooperate. I thank anybody who's getting reports. I'm getting them as well. My number is 908-463-4843. Secondly, I think we should stop questioning people's integrity. That's the problem today. People just out of jealousy, envy, and drinking haterade, decide to put the mayor down. As I walk around in the 5th ward, I'm just so proud to see a new development. I see development all in the 6th ward, and the city is booming. This reminds me of reading the history of Boomtown. Linden is on the move, it's off the groove, and I'm proud to be a citizen of Linden and to be a legislator in Linden. God bless. Happy days to you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Mayor Armstead?
Yes, I'd like to remind everybody that prior to me becoming mayor, some agreements had been made with regards to developments in town already, specifically the Capadaglia building, Meridia. Now, there was nothing I could do about the first one. That thing was carved in stone. But the one thing I did do is we made Capadaglia, Meridia, totally redesign what that building looks like. We made them really, so if you look, the first building is a box. The second building is much more aesthetically pleasing. Now, if you go look at the JTG property, which is being developed now, the plans for that show an upgrade there. Each development that we do, we're getting better and better at it, and we're holding the developers to a higher standard. So Capadaglia #1, that first building, yes, that deal was negotiated without the proper parking. Unfortunately, that I inherited that deal. But guess what? When we got ready to do the financials for Capadaglia 2, we made sure that they provided adequate parking at that facility. And going forward with the JTG scaffolding building, that project, yes, we're guaranteeing that there's adequate parking there. And I think we're getting better as we go along. So that being said, each development should get better. St. George Avenue, they wanted to put a justice complex there. That was going to cost the city money. And instead, we have a beautiful developer there, beautiful development, which is going to encourage growth and prosperity in an area that was once just an unsightly place to even travel by.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Cosby?
I just wanted to say that when the mayor gave his COVID report, I was pleased and happy and encouraged that our city and residents here are, playing it safe. And so I'm hopeful that this means that possibly when the schools can open up after the first quarter and the children can, go into the buildings, and hopefully the teachers are going to be going into the buildings since our city is reporting no spike in our COVID cases. So that's encouraging. I'm grateful for that. And I'm going to continue to, self-quarantine as much as possible. John Kaiser, I understand that you're talking about being in person. I'm okay being right here, self-quarantining because I'm safe. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of folks who are interested in the city council meeting. There is no policy that says you can't. There's no policy that says that you can. And I was just, kind of offended.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman. All right. I'd just like to make mention, we are hopeful to possibly be back in our council chambers, possibly next month. Currently, there are still restrictions on indoors, and we had from the public tonight approximately 25 attendees, plus the department heads and the panelists. We would not be able to allow all these people into our council chambers. So doing the virtual meeting still, we're able to have more people participate. So we're hopeful that COVID, the numbers stay down, that we could open up more, and that we'll be back in the council chambers as soon as possible. So that being said, I'd like to announce that the following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, October 19th, 2020 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting is Tuesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall. The council meeting Tuesday, October 20th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, hopefully. So we ask you once again to please check the city website, linden-nj.org, for directions on how to participate electronically in these meetings if the need continues. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Orman? Mrs. Orman?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
Yes. Good night.
Roman? Mr. Roman? Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Have a good evening, everyone.